So thank you so much for that question, mainly because I am Tunisian and I witnessed the democratic transition, and before that the uprising in 2011. And so that's why I can say that media plurality strengthens democracy, also by ensuring that no single actor or state or corporate or ideological monopolizes public discourse. I mean by that a diverse media environment enables investigate journalists, exposes corruption, and holds power accountable by offering multiple perspectives on political decision making. Plurality or media plurality protects against propaganda and disinformation. It allows. Sorry, I think that my camera is off, so it is. I carry on. I said that. Plurality protects against propaganda and disinformation. Plural media systems reduce the risk of propaganda by, first of all, allowing competing narratives to challenge official versions of events, or encourages fact-checking across outlets, or making information ecosystems more resilient to manipulation. So when audiences can compare sources, they are better equipped to detect bias and misinformation. Plurality in media also creates space for women and gender minorities, of course, or the minorities, youth, regional communities, ethnic, linguistic, and religion minorities, and human rights defenders and grassroots movements. This inclusiveness contributes to epistemic justice, recognizing marginalized groups as producers of knowledge rather than mere subjects of coverage. And at the end, the plurality in media balances conflict and crisis coverage. What does it mean? I mean that plural media environments are more likely to provide historical and political context, include diverse local and international voices, and reduce dehumanizing or securitized narratives. So this is particularly important in conflict reporting, where dominant narratives can legitimize violence or obscure power asymmetrics. And this is the hegemony maybe of the Western media that maybe we are going to speak about afterwards.
Absolutely.
So in my point of view, when we speak about Western media hegemony, at least in my point of view, we are referring to the strong influence of major Euro-American media outlets in shaping how the world understands conflicts. And that is what it is already said by my colleagues. These media organizations often decide which stories matter, whose voices are heard, and how events are framed. This influence is not neutral. It is linked to unequal global power relations, access to resources, of course, language dominance, and alignment with Western political interests. As a result, global events are often presented through frameworks that reflect Western values and priorities, while non-Western or African, as you just said now, perspectives are marginalized or silenced. We see this clearly in the way international conflicts are covered. Critical scholars, for example, have identified recurring patterns. Western or allied civilian suffering tends to receive more attention and empathy. Reporting relies heavily on official government and military sources. Conflicts in the global south are often framed through security or terrorism narratives, and historical or colonial contexts are frequently ignored. So together, these practices reinforce global inequalities in information and interpretation. I give you just an example, and I'm sure all of you know already that the war in Gaza is a striking example for me. Western media coverage has often been criticized for using passive language when Palestinians are killed, while clearly naming responsibility when Israeli victims are involved. Israeli military actions are frequently framed as acts of self-defense, while Palestinians' voices, journalists, civilians, and legal experts are underrepresented. International humanitarian law and the realities of occupation, blockade, and structural violence are often pushed to the margins. This kind of coverage risks normalizing violence and hiding the deep power imbalance between an occupying power and an occupied population. By contrast, we notice coverage of the war in Ukraine has been marked by strong moral clarity. Western media have clearly identified aggression and emphasized sovereignty, civilian suffering, war crimes, and international law. Ukrainian voices are amplified immediately and consistently. Of course, we defend all the victims, of course. But while this type of coverage is legitimate, it reveals a double standard. Principles that are strongly defended in Ukraine are applied far less consistently in Gaza or in other conflicts such as Yemen or Sudan or Syria. This contrast is also shaped by what scholars call between brackets, politics of sympathy. Some Western media narratives have openly emphasized that Ukrainians are European, civilized, or like us. Such language, when he said like us, it means he has blonde hair, blue eyes, etc. Such language reveals racial and cultural hierarchies that influence who is seen as deserving empathy. This selective compassion undermines the universality of human rights and yes, sends the message that some lives matter more than others. However, Western media dominance is increasingly being challenged. Journalists and outlets from the global south, independent digital platforms, citizen reporting, and human rights organizations are offering alternative narratives. In Gaza, Palestinian journalists and human rights groups have played a crucial role in documenting realities on the ground, often at great personal risk, not only in Palestine and Gaza, even in other South global countries. Media from Africa, Latin America, and Asia have also drawn attention to the inconsistencies in how different wars are framed. So these unequal media narratives have serious consequences. They shape public opinion, influence diplomatic responses, affect humanitarian priorities, and weaken international accountability that I spoke about at the beginning. From a human rights perspective, selective outrage damages the credibility of international norms and reinforces perception of double standards in global governance. So criticizing Western media hegemony, I mean, in my point of view, is not a rejection of press freedom, no, not at all, or professional journalism. It is a call For epistemic justice, it means recognizing multiple voices, histories, and ways of understanding the world. The contrasting coverage of Gaza and Ukraine shows how media power creates moral hierarchies. So a truly plural media landscape requires breaking narrative monopolies and making space of perspectives that challenge dominant geopolitical interests. That's what I wanted to add with my colleagues.